What's going on, guys? HP, welcome to my channel, HP Speed. Today I've got my Mazda2 today that we actually just recently acquired for our Turo project that we're renting out vehicles. It's our little side hustle. So what we're doing today on this vehicle is very simple. We're just going to be doing a routine serpentine belt change. So let me show you one major sign of a belt issue going on is, let's see if we can get some light on that down there. We can kind of see that our belt, if we zoom in on the pulley, let me pull this light out real quick. You can see down here that our belt actually has some cracks. That's a telltale sign right there. But what if you can't see any cracks? Well, you're gonna hear the actual belt squealing. So we've had a little bit of both. I heard the squealing when I bought this car and I figured, you know what, it's time for a belt. Now, getting a belt is super easy. You can get it on Rock Auto as my preferred because they usually have a good assortment of belts. They always have them in stock and they ship pretty cheap too. So right here, I just have a Gates belt. So looking at this actual belt setup, very simple. Some actually have a tensioner to get this belt off. We have to provide some slack to get it off. This one's gonna be at the very bottom in the back. We can see that tensioner pulley right down there in the backpack. We gotta get there. So I've already got the vehicle jacked up just to raise it up enough. Don't forget your e-brake on the inside, and let me put a jack stand down since I got it. No point missing out on that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead, get that jack stand down there, and I'll meet you guys underneath the car in like 2 seconds. All right, so now that you're underneath the car with me, let's take a look. Now we only jacked this up a little bit, but we're gonna go on back right by this axle. Very easy to access. There's not a bolt on this self-adjusting tensioner, so it's actually gonna have to get a ratchet, or we're going to be able to get a wrench on that pulley bolt right there. All we're going to be doing is pushing it forward so we can unloosen that belt right off, and then we can fish out the belt from the top. Looking at it, that looks like a 12 or a 13. I'm going to go with a 12 because I'm feeling lucky today. Is just locate our tensioner pulley right here. I put a 14 millimeter socket with a ratchet right here. Now this is a little troublesome because this brake line is kind of in the way. We can just push it to the side. Now we're going to have to push this forward, which is going to be a little bit difficult, but not a worry because I can always get a wrench on the end of this and yank it forward. Once we get enough tension on that pulley, or off of the pulley technically, we're going to pull this belt from here to get it off of one of these pulleys, and everything will come right off. All right, well, that was fairly simple. Take a little bit of a finesse, but we just got to push that forward. We're able to scoot that pulley off just enough. Now let's go to the top and fish it on up right now. And now that we're back up top, let's see where we are. So our belt has come off of our AC. That's where I was able to get it off. Let's go ahead and just work this around the pulleys and kind of fish some of this off. You can do it with one hand typically. And it looks like the last one we're stuck on is going to be where our ratchet is. So let's go ahead and take our ratchet off so we can fish around that pulley. We'll be good. So now that we got our belts off, let's take a look at the difference and why we replace these. This serpentine belt is very cracked and chipped, and it's all the way across the belt too. You have to imagine this is constantly under pressure with that auto tensioner down there that we're pulling on. So this can, like rubber does, dry rot and crack up a bit. So we'll go ahead and throw that one out. Our new one looks pristine. So now all we have to do is put our belt back on. Now typically some manufacturers will put a sticker down here in the front that'll show you the diagram of how the serpentine belt goes on. If not, no worries, type in your year, make, and model into Google, look serpentine diagram, and you can get a rough idea of exactly how your belt gets on. I'll post that in the description below, a best picture that I found on Google. And let's go ahead and get this bad boy on. Doesn't take a lot of work. You just have to be patient and make sure that your belt, and double check all of your work to make sure that the pulley goes exactly where it needs to be, or else getting it on is going to be pretty difficult. All right, so now that I've got the belt roughly exactly where I want it, I've got it around the serpentine belt, I've got it around this water pump and around the AC. Now that's where I took it off previously, but what my plan is to do actually on this one is that when I actually get down there and I'm pulling on that tensioner, which is right located down there, my hand's gonna be a jump, a skip, and a stone right there next to that crank pulley. So what I'm planning on doing is using my right hand to maneuver that auto tensioner enough slack, and then just slip it right over to my crank pulley. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Now I won't lie to you, that was pretty difficult, but one thing that I actually did that actually helped the belt stay on a little bit longer, enough for me to get that on there, is come take a look. I actually ended up putting a little zip tie right here, zip tying that belt to the actual water pump pulley right there. That way it doesn't slide off, because when you start putting tension, things are going to start moving and you don't have an extra hand to help you. Now this is a two-hand job, so I wasn't able to show you exactly how I got it on there, but I will let you know, using a ratchet with a very long handle or even using a cheater bar on top of that will give you extra leverage to get it on there. I ended up using a ratchet with a wrench on the end of it and just gave me all the torque that I needed. Now all we have to do left is go ahead and lower the vehicle, snip that last zip tie, and we'll be ready to go. Now before we go ahead and turn on our vehicle, let's look at the belt one last time and make sure everything is secure. I want to make sure the belt is properly on every pulley and we're not missing any ribs that are off on the AC or on the crank, and it looks like from a visual inspection we are ready to go. And as you can see, no more squealing whenever we start it up. I think we're in good shape. That was how to replace a Serpentine belt on a Mazda 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. I'm going to be posting 2 times a week and I would love to see you guys every episode.